I'm having a live right now, and I want to know, why do some people out there support police officers? Now, if you read the actual entry post here, it says, "Why do you support police? Do a guest request if you disagree, and have at least 1K followers. No excuses, no trolling. Meaning, if you have at least 1K followers and you don't agree, I don't want to hear about how you're at work, how you're busy. No, those are the rules. That's the welcome message. So you can't say you didn't see it. I want to understand the reason why some people support police. I want to know why. Let me know why. Let me know why some people out there support police, and I want to have a discussion about it. Now, when you have a discussion about it and you make a claim, what's going to happen is, if you come into the guest request, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to interrogate your claims. I'm going to look at some facts on my desktop here. You saw the question. Why do you support police, Mui? It's the welcome question. It's the title of the screen. So let's not deflect. Let's not try to get around it. Why do you support police? Okay. Absolutely. Do you support police at all? I want to know why. You have more than 1,000 followers? Then I want to know why. I want to understand. I want to hear the reason why. Not entirely. Okay. Not entirely, but do you support them at all? That's what I'm asking. Just curious. See, here's the thing. Like, when I start asking these kind of questions and I set up these kind of rules and I try to pin people down, what happens a lot of times is that people tend to not want to engage at that point, right? Or they'll try to skate around it, which is cool. But I will give you the benefit of the doubt, Mui, because I tend to do that with people. All right. Now, with that being said, I would love to find somebody out there who actually supports police. I want to know why you support police. And if you have more than 1,000 followers, all right, I want to know why you support police. Because I don't support police whatsoever. And I can articulate my reasons. Right? Right? So, they save lives. Interesting. Mui, could you hop into the guest request, please? You know, there was a rule that was set here, a welcome message that was set here. I would love for you to hop into the guest box there. What's going on, Spot Check News? Good afternoon, brother. How you doing? Not right now, Mui. I set a rule. You understand how rules work. You are law enforcement, so sorry, Mui, but you have to leave the chat. Okay. I want people who are going to actually have a conversation. Right. Let's talk. It's not about they're protecting people or anything else. It's about, why do you support police? Again. So again, my question is, why do people support police? I want to know why. I want to understand the reasons why. The dark side. Let's see. Uh-oh. Dark side. Uh-oh. Dark side. Dark side, are you there? Uh-oh. I did not remove Dark Side. I don't know what happened. Might have disconnected. I would love to get Dark Side back on. But again, anyone out there who supports police officers, I want to understand the reasons why. I want to know what's the reasons why people support police officers. Not, what they fail to do or anything else. But yeah, here, Dark Side. I will give you let's see. Can I invite him back in? Is it possible? Is it possible? Yeah, here we go. Invite you. All right, Dark Side. Dark Side, you disconnected again. I'm not sure what's going on there, brother. But if you can get that fixed up, I would love to have you on. Don't know what's happening there. All right, so let's see. Let's read some of the comments here. My live is off. My live is not off. It shouldn't be off. It should be still on. I'm having a lot of viewers here. I'm not sure. How's my live off? I'm not sure. How's my live off? Let's see here. Let me go here to live and let's share the live real quick. Let me give me a second. Let me share it on my Facebook. I don't see how it's off because I'm being told I'm live. So, but anyways, let's see. Yeah. No, I'm live. I'm very much live. All right, so let's go back here. Maybe something's is going on here. So let's see. I am divinely chosen says it's my job, but also for protection. Well, let's have a discussion about it. You have more than 3,000 followers. Let's have a discussion about it. User they make me feel safe. I mean, a psychological thing, I understand, but that's not necessarily the case all the time. Red Dead Redemption 136 says, I understand what you mean by corrupt, but without police, the whole country would fall. The idea of the police in their current iteration, not really. What happened? I'm not sure what happened, buddy. Boycott King says a police officer saved my life. Guess that's why I support them. Anybody could have saved your life. It didn't necessarily have to be a police officer. For example, if I were to save your life and I happen to be a Black Panther, do you now owe Black Panthers for the rest of your life? Of course not. You wouldn't feel that way. You only feel that way because they are police officers. The police officer did their job. It's one of the few times in which they actually do save someone. That doesn't mean that you also owe this whole profession, your undying loyalty. Because one doctor, saved my life on an operation table one time does not mean that all doctors are now good. It doesn't work that way. There's still medical malpractice. Let's move on. But user says they make me feel safe, but I don't break the law. Okay, but some people don't break the law and they don't make them feel safe. Angry Collector says police protect and serve businesses and government, not citizens. True. Spot Check News says this is not facts. The strong will survive, thus raising all of humanity. Burnett says it's off. It really is lagging. Wow, lagging. I don't know. Am I still lagging? Let's see. No, I don't think I'm lagging here. But my thing is that when I think about police officers and how they operate in terms of how they operate in the US, I can't find the reason to justify their existence. I can't find a reason to. I'm just trying to you know, understand what's going on there. I want to understand the reasons why some people believe police officers are necessary for the survival of this country. Divinely Chosen, I would love to have you on. I'd love to talk. Trump will be indicted. Says police are not de-escalating. They make my job easier. Divinely Chosen, I would love to have you on. I invite you. Let's have a conversation. Because there's some things that I don't think you've seen yet. That I don't think you've been exposed to, right? So I don't think that you've been exposed to some of the things that I know to be factual that that maybe you've been indoctrinated with in terms of propaganda. But I would love to have a conversation with you because I love to dispel things that people believe that are not necessarily true, right? So I would love to have a conversation with somebody who actually supports police, who's willing to hop into the guest box. There's plenty of people in this chat who's like this, but for some reason they are avoiding it. And that's unfortunate because I really want to have the conversation. I really want to discuss some of the things that I think goes on policing. Here we go.
Can you see me? Let's see.
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to see how I turn the camera on. I don't know. It's my first time ever doing a live.
Well, you don't have to turn the camera on. Just totally fine.
Okay. So for me, as a social worker or a therapist, it makes my job easier when I have to go to court, or if I'm going to pick children up, or if I'm doing anything where I'm dealing with my clients.
Right.
I just prefer to have them there. Again, I live in a certain type of neighborhood, and I prefer to have cops that look like me in my neighborhood. I do feel a sense of protection, and I do.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So let's say that you have a medical emergency and I show up and I'm a paramedic, but then another person shows up and they call themselves a Power Ranger, but we both do the same job. Would it matter then?
Yes, it matters.
What we call ourselves?
So it's a twofold question. To me, in a sense, it does matter, right? Because it kind of entails like where the liability will fall if something were
Hmm.
to happen. If something were to
Hmm.
happen, well, you say you have these certifications, you're qualified to do this. If something should go
Hmm.
wrong, I can sue you. You will be held liable for something. It makes it a little bit easier.
You be held liable, or is it the taxpayers?
Usually it's the taxpayers. Usually it is.
Right. So with the Power Ranger, he can do the exact same job, but I'm not paying if he messes up. But with the police officer or the paramedic, when they mess up, I pay for it. And you say that that's better because the title of police officer, which is linked to the slave trade.
Okay, so with that being said, if we understand, of course, where the term policing comes from, that whole occupation, I get that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
fast forward, it's like, wouldn't you rather have someone that's been trained, that knows or should know the law, that can or should be governed by certain stipulations, like, they just can't be out renegading, doing what they want to do. I'm not talking about these cops.
Interesting. Can I ask you a question? Are
Of
you aware of
course,
my channel? Have you ever watched my content before?
I haven't. I just ran across it today. I have not.
Okay. Well, my name is Dion.
Okay.
I'm internationally known as a whistleblower. I
All
was a
right.
former law enforcement officer. Mostly did corrections. But let me tell you, I cover anywhere from 4 to 10 videos a day with fresh bad cop news, with anything from arrests, convictions, and charges of cops. And those stories are usually no older than 2 to 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it daily. And I've went from zero to over 50,000 people in less than a year. And I average about 1 million views a month doing this.
Okay.
So what you just said about them going around, walk around like renegades, are you aware of what's happening with the LAPD? With
Not
the
with
police gangs?
LAPD. Not not
Okay,
not with LAPD.
LAPD is the single most employed police department in the country. They have
Okay.
police gangs right now.
Okay.
The and also the LA County Sheriff's Department has police gangs. They're testifying in front of a federal judge right now, and they
All
are
right.
admitting to it.
Okay.
Okay, they have police gangs, meaning that just like with a gang initiation, they will either
Mhm.
beat someone up, do something horrible to a woman, or fatally shoot someone intentionally just
Mhm.
to get their colors.
Okay.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you think that it's that is limited to LA?
Of course not. In this state of
Oh,
Louisiana, we have some stuff
let me ask you another question. Do you think that happened in Akron?
in Akron.
Well, are you aware that there are several members of the Akron Police Department who are not only members of Tango 22, which is a fat and anti-black gang, a white people, I'm not going to say the other word,
Right.
but a
Right. Right.
white
Right.
people only gang.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is they're also some members of the Three Percenters. Are you aware of that? Do you aware that maybe the reason why it was so excessive is because they were trying to earn their colors?
I believe you on that. Absolutely.
Okay.
I
No,
I,
no, no,
I
no,
agree.
no, no, wait. No. We're gonna continue a little bit.
Okay.
Because again, I wanna ask you a question because again, I wanna see how aware you are of some of these things, right?
Okay.
Now, I want you to see something.
Okay.
And I want you to see this because this really kind of sums it up for you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Now, I want you to see something real quick. Cities spend millions of dollars on police misconduct every year. Here's why it's so difficult to hold departments accountable. How much money do you think that we spend on police misconduct every year collectively as a country?
Millions.
Uh, would you believe me if I told you that we spend more than we did on the Iraq and Afghanistan war in terms of operating costs for per unit?
Yes.
So, are you willing to now take back some of the things that you just said?
No.
I mean, because here's the thing, right? My grandma said that the surest way to know if someone's bias is
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you present to them, their
Yeah.
opinion remains the same.
So I heard everything you said. And so respectfully,
Hmm?
I want to say a few things. And I appreciate you educating me on some things. Okay. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I reside in Louisiana. And so in my state right now in Louisiana, we have some stuff going on, and to where our governor, is involved in it, where a black man
Right.
was killed, and
Right.
there's a big cover up, and the FBI and everybody's involved. I understand. I'm familiar with LAPD. I've never worked with, anything in law enforcement per se, but of course I'm familiar with, things that happen with Rodney King and all of this. All I'm saying to you is I understand what's going on. I know it's corrupt. Every form of any occupation is corrupt. I understand this.
It goes a little bit deeper. If you did any of the things that I just mentioned, you wouldn't have a job right now. See,
You're right.
the way that I know you don't know me is because the second that you said social worker and child welfare, if you knew my story, you realize why trying to defend police officers from that point is a terrible idea.
Okay.
The reason why I went into law enforcement,
Yeah.
there's a sheriff in South Carolina. His name is Leon Lott. He was the 2021 Sheriff of the Year for the entire country. He was featured on Live PD quite often.
Okay.
Leon Lott covered up something that happened to me as a child.
Okay.
The man who did it is a high school principal in South Carolina, happens to be my older brother.
Okay.
And I went into law enforcement to change things.
Okay.
I failed. They retaliated against me. Do you know what happened shortly after?
No, what happened?
I'm staying in my house, and I see a news report for Spring Valley High School.
Okay.
One of Leon Lott's deputies did something horrible to high school girls. I found out that, according to several federal lawsuits, Leon Lott and the sheriff's department knew about it, and they covered it up just like they did me. And then I met a woman named Brenda Bryant. I saw a case named Madison Bryant v. Babcock Center, right?
Okay.
That was a South Carolina Supreme Court case where Leon Lott covered up something horrible that happened to another girl. And that's 3 different sources saying the exact same thing about this man.
Okay.
So when you say, again, I presented something else to you again. All the stuff that I just said, you can Google all this.
Right.
It's in the free thought. It's in the free thought project. Yahoo News, MSN News. It's everywhere, right? When it gets to that point, when we know the Catholic Church was allowed to operate with impunity, the Boy Scouts, the Southern Baptist Church, they were all allowed to operate with impunity. Right. And there's no way you're gonna tell me no cop knew. You're not gonna tell me no chief knew, no commissioner knew, no sheriff. They all knew.
You're right.
But they did nothing. So it gets to the point where you're costing me money. You're taking out my people on the streets. You covered up things that happened to me. And when I try to change things, you didn't give the same man Sheriff of the Year for the entire country. Now you won't be believed cops are good. Do you understand how futile
you're right?
That is. How almost cruel you're being.
You're right. So when you approach it from that angle, you're absolutely correct. So let me give it to you like this. You're absolutely correct when you approach from that angle. So, of course, working as a social worker, as a therapist, right? When I go in certain neighborhoods, people don't respect me, right? And I have been attacked several times in courtrooms and in people's homes for doing my job. But it's somehow when that person on the side of me walks there with this badge or with this uniform on, their attitude completely changes. Thus, until I'm able to do my job, things kind of get a little quieter. Maybe it is the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Have you been to California?
Yes.
And you've been to Texas?
I'm from Texas, yes.
So you're aware of all the gangs, right?
I am.
So when you go to their neighborhoods, do you talk smack?
No.
Do you?
No.
So what that's telling you is that it's not the police, it's the respect that they actually get. See, there are certain neighborhoods in which police can go in which you will get the exact opposite reaction of what you just mentioned. But there's nowhere that a Black Panther can go in the Black community and not get some respect, right? So that's why I do neighborhood watch where I do. And quite frankly, people have been throwing money at me because I do a much better job.
So let me ask you this. You told me what the problem was. You identified the issues and all those things. So what is the resolution? Let me ask you
The
that.
resolution is simple: private security, get rid of policing as a whole. Qualified immunity is no longer a thing because it's going to be all private contractors. You want to know how I know this actually works? We did the exact same thing in other countries. If you're going to do it in other countries, then what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Prime
Mm-hmm.
example is I'll give you a prime example. The government is nothing more than a glorified middleman. Anyways, you know that as a freaking social worker, right? You know that it's nothing but a
Absolutely.
glorified middleman.
Absolutely.
So with that being
Mm-hmm.
said, what's the difference between if people are worried about, let's say, let me give you the most wackiest, let me help your counter argument, right? I'll give you the
Okay.
wackiest example. Let's say Blackwater takes over policing, right?
Okay.
Blackwater at their worst. I mean, what everything that they did in freaking Iraq. Let's say Blackwater just takes over, right?
Okay.
Even at their worst, they don't have qualified immunity.
Hmm.
So even at your best argument, if I say accountability, you don't really have a counter argument.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know how I can demonstrate that? Because you're in
How?
Texas, right? A few states from you in Georgia, a
Mm-hmm.
police officer tossed a flashbang grenade into a crib.
Mm-hmm.
It was occupied. That officer faced no charges, and that officer couldn't even be sued in civil court.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say you're for child welfare,
Mm-hmm.
how do you look at that situation and you don't even consider an alternative?
Okay.
You
So,
look at Tamir
so,
Rice,
okay.
child
Uh-huh.
welfare,
Okay.
same results. You look at, I mean, it just never ends. It never ends. The problem with police is that it gets harder and harder as time goes on, right? To
Mm-hmm.
justify us keeping them around. Because we privatize everything else, right? We privatize
Right.
prisons. Why could we privatize police? We found a way to privatize prisons and place people in a prison industrial complex. We found a way to put a man on a freaking moon. We found a way to look at electrons through a microscope.
Right.
You mean to tell me we can't find an alternative to policing?
So, every state is different. You're very intelligent man. So Louisiana operates under the Napoleonic laws. Our state is very different, which is why if you get a license here to practice law, you have to take your bar exam somewhere else to practice law. The average lawyer cannot
Correct.
come here and represent.
Right,
So
right.
you're saying let's privatize this law enforcement. Well, how would that work
Mm-hmm.
across state lines? You know what I'm saying? Like, how would that work
It would
is
work because state by state would hire their own separate individual companies.
okay.
That's how that
And then
works.
again, and then on the other, then who'll be responsible for paying this? Again, is this going to fall back on the taxpayers?
Taxpayers. You want to know why? Because I've already done spreadsheets in which it'll be cheaper. If I've already hold on, I've already published a video in which I'm not gonna joke to you. I know for a fact there's an
Yeah.
anthropologist from Oregon
Yeah.
State University who's watching right now, but I know that there was a professor, I'm not gonna say his name, from New York
Okay.
who talked to
Okay.
me. I actually provided him proof that
Mm-hmm.
it costs us more money in police
Mm-hmm.
misconduct settlements alone. We're not
Absolutely.
talking about salaries or or benefits or pensions, just misconduct settlements alone. It costs us
Mm-hmm.
more than operating military units at war. If I can prove that, do you not think it's going to be cheaper?
Yeah. Okay.
So again, the money is not the issue. The
Mm-hmm.
contracting, the contracting is not the issue. We did it in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we give these same police officers the same gear that we had in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna have the same gear, if you're gonna have the same gear, have the same capabilities, then guess what? Why don't we have them under the same contracts? Have them bid, have them compete. If your company is known to have people just going out here shooting people, we're not gonna hire you. See, that gives the people a choice. See, you are in Texas. You are supposed to be more libertarian, more,
Mm-hmm.
more anti-government, more, less big government. And I'm trying to make the government smaller by giving you more of a choice. See, the same way that they privatize water companies, electric companies, everything else, I want to privatize policing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you
Okay.
hired them? And that way they don't have qualified immunity. That way, there's more accountability. Because it takes the say so out of the government's hand. It doesn't
Well,
matter what the government says, because guess what? The government is not them.
okay. So then you have to think
Mm,
on the hindsight of things. If you
mm,
begin to do that, then
mm.
you have to start privatizing everything. You have to start contracting everything. It would
And
it would
guess
just be
what?
a ripple. It
Oh,
would
hey,
be
hey,
a
hey,
ripple
hey.
effect.
Sister, 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 you black.
Yeah.
There is no scenario in which removing this government is going to be something that I'm going to go against. Have you not seen the history of this country? Hold on. Let's go back to 1400s. When the Moors first came here, we fought in the Revolutionary War. And after we fought in the Revolutionary War, they actually put us in freaking chains. And then afterwards, then came the chattel slavery. And then after chattel slavery, then you had pre-civil rights, then civil rights era, and then what we have now. At what point is it that taking government out of it was somehow gonna make things worse?
Hmm. I think we have just
I,
different
I,
views.
I think that if you were to talk to Black Wall Street, taking government out of it, I mean, I think they would agree. I mean, I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me crazy.
I do like the fact
I
that we're
think if
able
you
to
were
have
to
a
talk to
discussion,
Native
right?
Americans and they huh? Go ahead.
We have, we're having a discussion. I really enjoyed it. I really do. And oftentimes I am attacked because of my views. Because
Right,
I
right. I
was a
understand.
black because I was a black Republican for years. I only
Right,
changed
right.
my
I
party.
understand.
I only changed my party due to Trump. And
Right, right.
then
Well, most black people are very conservative. Like, don't feel
yes,
bad for it. Most black people are very conservative. Like that's something that a lot of allies don't understand. Like when I start saying certain things, like I'm so pro Second Amendment, or I'm
absolutely.
so this or that. I'm like, listen, I am a leftist, but I do retain some right leaning views, and that's
Hmm.
okay. You don't have to
Hmm.
all be homogenous, and that's why I'm so glad that FBA is like around. You know about foundational Black Americans, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you should know about this. Foundational Black Americans are Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves. It's a new term that you're going to hear a lot. It's
Mm.
taken over the Black community pretty much. You're going to see a lot about it. But pretty much, we designate that so that it could be easier to get reparations. That way it goes directly to the descendants. So with that being said, FBA, we've been kind of shaping some narratives, and we kind of clean up some of the narratives in the Black community, like some of the misconceptions. Like my role within FBA is cleaning up misconceptions about cops.
Okay.
You know, and some other people they do finance, they do politics, but I do cops. And the one thing I've
Okay.
noticed with police officers is that we fall a lot for propaganda. Like for example,
Okay.
you watch SVU, right?
Yes.
Law and Order.
Yep.
Okay. Do you know what department um Law and Order is based out of?
The New York one, or you talking about the SVU?
Do you know? Yeah,
Okay. No.
it's
Like, what do you mean? What
NYPD, right?
department? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
NYPD.
New York. Okay. Uh
NYPD.
huh.
So NYPD. Do you know right now the Department of Justice is actually investigating them because they actually covered up some crimes, some of those crimes that's featured on SVU.
Yes,
They're currently
I did
doing
know
that
that.
right now.
Yes.
So do you understand that all those years you were seeing all that stuff on SVU, it was all a lie? All of it. Because that investigation goes back to decades. Decades. All of this. Every time they said they stood for victims, that wasn't true. Each and every time. Because if you failed
So,
that many times, I can't trust any of it.
this is my concern. This is my issue. It's
Hmm?
like you're taking um one specific thing and you're trying to lump it all together. An example, you're
No, it's
taking
not one thing.
situation. Just hear me out respectfully. You're
Okay.
taking situations with the police department. Now all
Hmm?
cops are bad. And listen, we understand we
I
have a
didn't say
lot
that.
of No, you
I
you
didn't
didn't.
say
You're right.
that.
You didn't.
You
You
understand
didn't.
what I allude? Do you understand why I say acab though? Do you know why
Let me
I
understand.
allude to that though? I didn't say that yet, but I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna be honest and full disclosure. I'm not gonna hide things from you. I do say it a lot. Do you understand why I say it?
Can you explain to me why you say it?
Okay. First, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you have the ability to be logically consistent? I'm not trying to be condescending because I
Yes.
asked that question because my degree field is in psychology, and I understand that most
Okay.
people can't do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I present, I'm gonna ask you first, what would it take to change your mind?
Truth.
And I guarantee you, I've probably done it before.
Truth.
No, 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 no. That's very vague. Specifically, what would it take to change your mind?
I told you it would take truth. Just because you told me something, just because you
You
say
have to
something,
be more
I
specific.
allow me
Like for
to
example,
speak.
if you would have asked me what would it take to change my mind about, for example, if I would think Donald Trump was a great guy, what would it take to change my mind? Well, I will give you specific things like, well, he would have to do this, that, and this. He couldn't do that anymore. Like there would be some things that there would be specific. You know,
Okay,
it
so let
wouldn't
me
just
speak.
be.
Let me say.
Hmm?
So for you to change my mind, it would take truth, and truth means you would give me some resources or to back up whatever you're saying that I can further find information myself, study about it, and okay, I see. He's just not speaking on emotions or from an emotional place. Okay, I get it. You know,
Do you,
absolutely.
when I started showing you all those numbers, what do you think that was?
It was information, but you didn't say where you got the. I mean, you just said things that happened within the
I
LAPD.
literally just showed you where the source was. I literally put it on screen for you. I even showed you where the article even came from. It's 538.
Okay.
Do you understand the reason why it's so difficult to prove me wrong is because I actually do get into numbers. I actually do the actual research. Like for example, ask me any question about police brutality, and I will give you an answer within 10 seconds. Seriously, try me live.
But what is there to ask you about police brutality? Because I think, again, I tell
Or
you,
anything
you're
about
taking.
police misconduct, anything that you might want to know. I'm one of those
Okay.
people who sit in a room all day, and all I do is study this. This is what I do.
Okay.
This is my job.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Would you agree that there are more cops out there trying to do a good job than there are bad cops out there doing a horrible job?
No, and
Would
here's
you?
why. Because in every state and every territory, everyone has to logically conclude there's at least one law that they don't actually agree with. Therefore, if any cop enforces that or even supports cops who actually does, you are not a good cop.
Hmm.
Because there is no condition in which I could fine you or deprive you of your freedom as someone who's not a cop, right? And you
Hmm.
and you and you and you and you accept that. So why does that suddenly change when someone puts on a badge?
Hmm.
See, that's the problem. That's why cops get away with stuff because you think that they are somehow magically different.
Hmm.
If someone because and my proof in that is the lack of consequences that they actually face. You cannot show me one scenario in which someone could shoot at someone 90 times and there not be murder charges instantly. Show me another
Absolutely.
instance. So if that's the
I
case, then
agree.
don't you understand that what you're doing right now could be aiding them?
Hmm. I
I
agree.
just
Absolutely.
I showed you in which the sheriff of the year, the current sheriff of the year can't be trusted. The
Hmm.
largest the largest department in the country can't be trusted.
Hmm.
It costs you more money in misconduct settlements alone than it costs you to operate units at war, and that has not made you budge. Even SVU didn't make you budge, and that's been running
Hmm.
for almost 20 years.
Right.
Do you not think the
So
bias on your end is a little bit too strong?
it
Maybe,
could be.
perhaps.
It, it could be.
And that's what
So
Tariq Nasheed and people like me have been talking about. Family, we have to let go of some of this stuff. If we want
right.
radical change in this country, radical change does not come. It does not come. Does not come without things actually changing. You can't want change and then want things to remain exactly the same. It don't work that way.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. I can agree with you on that.
So
I can agree with you on
we
that.
are not anti-law and order. We are pro-order. We are a part of the Moorish people, the African Muslims who actually came to this country over 100 years before any white person ever stepped foot here. We've been here the longest. We are very
Absolutely.
conservative in the black community. So
Absolutely.
understand, we
Absolutely.
like law and order. The problem is that the systems that are in place are outdated. Police officers in their current iteration are useless.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the actual times in which they actually go out and rescue people, they don't really do
Mm-hmm.
that often. What percentage of police calls do you think a year make up actual violent crimes, or even crimes of any kind of significance?
I would say, and I don't know, but I would say maybe 10%. Maybe 10.
If I told you it's even less than that, what would you say?
Wow. I would say wow.
I'll give you one more
Wow.
shot. How low do you think it is?
5%.
What if I told you that some estimates put it at like 4%?
I'll be very pissed off because
I'm going to show you
my
something real quick. I'm going to show you something real quick. See, I've already done. This is the reason. This is one of the reasons why that guy from I'm not going to say which university because I don't want to reveal this stuff. But the guy from New York had reached out to me because I I actually know this, and I'm going to go to. I'm going to show you a little trick. So when you get like a paywall, right, and you can't get
hmm
past it, you go to this site
hmm
called archive.is
hmm
and you archive it and see if you can try to. I'm pretty sure it's an internet archive. It takes a snapshot of the web page as it was when it was made. So this is how
Okay.
you can get around stuff. Here we go. So someone already archived it. So I want to see how do police actually spend their time. Here we go. New York Times article. This is gonna really upset you then. How do police? This is from New York Times. How do police actually spend their time? A review of publicly available data in 3 areas reveals that much of an officer's job revolves around handling routine calls rather than violent crime. So how long has this been out? It's been out since 2020. It was updated 2021. So it was updated recently. It wasn't updated. It wasn't just something that's been out there for like decades, right? This is a recent article.
hmm
So let's go down here. So violent crime is in green right here, 4%.
Wow.
So a lot of things that you were told about police officers were lies. They don't protect the public. In fact, I've actually proven in one of my videos, it is actually, as a black man, because the six leading cause of unaliving, let's just say for black men, the six leading cause of our black men leaving this planet are actually the police. Did you actually know that? The six leading cause.
Yes.
They take out that many black men. And now you're seeing this is how many times they actually respond to to a violent crime. And that's including crimes in which actually turns into shootings.
Wow.
So that's how many times they show up that few times to actually protect people, and they shoot people that often.
Wow.
I want you to look at those numbers and think about that, and think about all the lies you've been told. See, I used to
Yeah.
work law enforcement. I used to be super blue lives matter. I used to be listen. I used to be that guy until I got into the profession and I learned the truth.
Wow.
You need to
Wow.
stop listening to the propaganda. It's
You're right.
poison. There is not a thing you believed about police that you came into the stream that you can possibly believe now. Because if only 4% of the time are they actually showing up to an actual violent crime, then what are they doing with the other percent of the time? Well, let me tell you what they're doing. They're costing you so much money in misconduct settlements that you could literally operate entire drone squadrons instead.
Wow.
They're costing you that kind of money.
Wow.
They're firing 90 shots at people. They're failing to protect school kids. Flashbang grenades into freaking cribs.
Mm,
No one gets freaking arrested.
mm.
William Ollie Alexander, you're in Texas. You should know about this, don't you? You know that name, don't you?
No,
I
I
know it off
don't.
the top of my head. Officer was convicted of something. You should go look up the name. William, you know what? I'll do it for you. I want you to see what he was convicted of. And he got 10 years probation. He didn't get any jail time. And this was on Oprah. It was on everything. Everyone was outraged. And this happened recently. See, this is why you need to pay attention to my channel because this is what I do. I cover this stuff every day. And I knew that name off the top of my head. And I don't even live in Victor, Texas. So I live in Washington State right now. William Ollie Alexander. You should see this. This is very fascinating that you don't know about this because you're in Texas and I'm not. I
I'm
want
in
you to see
Louisiana.
this.
I'm in Louisiana.
Louisiana? Okay, Louisiana. Oh, sorry. You're in Louisiana. But I want you to see this. Former El Paso officer gets sentenced to 10 years probation for what?
Rape.
Oh,
Wait,
oh,
is that rape?
yeah. He was on duty. He went into a
What?
woman's house, did something horrible, got away with it. Got away with it.
Oh
Let
my
me
God.
let me tell you something real quick. You want to know why I know that name off top of my head? I
Why?
make a habit of remember those names. You know how many those names that I know just from the
Why?
past 6 years
Mm-hmm.
of officers just not getting any jail time when they've been convicted. Not, he wasn't just charged; he was convicted. A jury found him guilty. Guilty. Like we, the jury, find the defendant.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
36 in the past 6 years, and that's just with adults. Now with juveniles, it gets a little bit dicey. That's about 218 officers who just walk away, no charges.
Wow. Wow. Mm.
Do you want to know how bad it gets with police officers? They are
Mm-hmm.
in the top 10 for professions in the country for doing those kind of crimes. The kind of crimes that I just showed you,
Mm-hmm.
they're in top 10. And in less than 70% of those cases, do they actually ever face charges? And when they do, they usually walk away. See, if you'll tolerate somebody unaliving someone in a fatal shooting, why not this crime?
Right.
I mean, the other person is gone. So really, when you think about it, it's not worse. I mean, some people may feel it is, and I do in a lot of ways, but on paper, it's not. The
Wow.
propaganda that you believe and the things that you've been told are not only dangerous. This is why some people go at you, but I've been nice about it, right? Because I understand
Mm-hmm.
it's not your fault. This ain't your fault. You've been taught this. This is why I make this channel to help people unlearn this nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those people that those officers did that to,
Uh-huh.
guess what color those women were? I'll let you guess.
Please don't tell me they were black. I just I mean it's Texas, so they have to be either
Are you looking at the
usually
screen
they're
right
probably
now?
gonna be Mexican.
Are you looking at the screen? Do you see my
I
face right
am
now?
looking at the screen. Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm gonna say Hispanic. They're probably minorities.
No, they're black. In fact, more than 50% of them were black. The way that you know this is a constant problem because the most jail time that an officer has ever received in American history was over 200 years because that one particular officer decided to pull over black women and do that. So
Oh
it's
my
definitely
God.
a problem with black women. Definitely a problem with them doing that to black women. This is why I always push protect black women. Even if I don't necessarily agree with a black woman, I'm gonna protect you. Even if I can't stand you, I'm gonna protect you because I understand you can't rely on cops to actually do it.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Because I was a little kid. I was a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I used to wear this little cloth turtle shell. It was a little thick cloth turtle shell my mom gave me, and I wore it because every time my brother would come around, I thought it would protect me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember as a kid, I go into Christian County Sheriff Deputy, around the corner from my house, and he told me these little things don't happen to little boys. And I remember, if you go to my YouTube channel, I'm known as acabdevil on YouTube. I have recorded phone call between myself and Richard County Sheriff's Department as an adult back back in October of last year, and the deputy who answered the phone, because I was black, he started making Joe Biden jokes. But I was telling him, I was like, listen, I'm going to try to report something because the man who did it is a high school principal now, guys. You can't have him as a high school principal. Can you do something about this? And I'm on the phone crying. He made fun of me.
Mm.
That department has the sheriff of the year.
Wow.
And now to try to satiate my trauma, I've become one of the biggest names in bad cop news because it's the only thing that can satiate my trauma. If you look at the sheer amount of content I put out on this channel, something's something's off. You don't make enough on TikTok to do it this often.
Mm-hmm.
I my girlfriend, she makes a lot of money every month, and I'm fortunate for that. But I do make my own money on the side. But she spends a lot of money on a lot of things to keep me relatively sedated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I spend 80% of my life in body armor. The only time I don't wear body armor is when I'm on TikTok live because I'll get banned for that. If I wear it like for too long, of course, and some moderator like sees it. But I'm always armed because I fear that what I do with police officers is going to get me out of here. I get emails all the time threatening to do things, and my only option is to constantly put out the content to make them afraid to even touch me because a riot would happen. Because no one knew who George Floyd was or even Jalen Walker before what happened to him happened to them. But people know who I am. You can Google my name. There's articles about me in Canada and in Germany about some of the retaliation that I face. So I have to work constantly and I have to maintain this because I have to get people justice and also protect myself. I have to live a life of being a paranoid, angry ball of hate. Because the second that I let up with my content, I start getting followed. Because the second that they think people don't have eyes on me, that's when it
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yeah.
When I left South Carolina, they took out a warrant for my arrest for no reason. I hadn't even been in the freaking state for like, when they took out the actual warrant, I wasn't even in the freaking state. They just made up a freaking charge. And because of that, my mother passed away March of this year. And I
Mm.
missed my mom's funeral. It's a charge that's only enforceable in South Carolina. So obviously I'm not dangerous. And the police here don't even want to touch me because they're afraid um, of what would happen if they actually did anything. Because every underground movement has made it clear you touch this guy and it's over.
So let me ask you this. Isn't there a sense of gratification in knowing that you are educated and you have become, in a sense, self-educated, and you do have a sense of protection because you have been informing so many people? You have basically informed the
Um,
masses.
do I have a sense of gratification for that? A sense of
Yeah.
what? I'm sorry. No, it's constant fear. People don't understand um, my content, especially when I do like animated stuff. I don't just do like most of my videos are cell phone like green screen type of videos, but I do have like a whole playlist called Bad Cop Deep Dives in which I get out After Effects, I get out like Premiere Pro, and I actually go through actual documentary style content. So Whenever I go and I do that, the reason why those are so over the top good, like I'll pick like an actual anime theme or like a video game theme or like a pop song, and I'll make like a whole theme with like an actual department, which I'll tear across a whole department and show all the misconduct from years back all the way up until now, and show you why you shouldn't trust them. Period. So I'll do that with individual departments. I'll make a meme out of a sheriff or like a police chief, and I will do that much effort because it's a form of protection. Because I understand the better that I make my content, the more people are going to watch and the more cops are not going to want to touch me. I was in Seattle in Washington State, and I encountered Seattle PD, and I got pulled over. It was I think I was speeding, and I thought the cop was going to do something to me. And my girlfriend will tell you, and I can call her in like real quick. I'm completely oblivious to my fame. Like I got articles about me on freaking news and news. Pop said, let's calm down because if anything happens here, we already had a riot. I'm like, because again, I'm completely oblivious. This is like maybe 8 months ago, right? So like, this is when I was still like maybe had like 10, 20,000 like followers. I had no idea what this guy was talking about, and I found out that he was talking about, hey, you're acab devil. I can't touch you. So, but hey, come here. Like I need you to kind of just briefly explain, like, is it not been like I've been kind of oblivious to like my own fame?
Yeah.
Like how oblivious? Like how well known do you think cops know me versus how serious I take that?
I mean, I think everyone knows who you are in this town. All the cops and people.
And what do you think? What do you think would happen if I ever slacked up on my content? What do you think the cops would take the opportunity to go and do? If I wasn't a cab devil and still a whistleblower, what do you think would happen to me?
Oh, if you weren't a cab devil?
Yeah.
Oh, they'd take you out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this person, I'm not going to put her on camera, but she is a legal professional. She works in courts, and she's saying that.
And they won't take you out right now because you're a cab devil, and because if they took you out, everyone would set the world on fire.
Yeah, you don't. That's how deep it gets with me. So when you ask me, do I feel cops protect me? The only reason why I feel like I need protection is the cops. Do you understand that listen, we brought a machine to make our own homemade fun stuff because of the cops. I have body. You want to see my body armor? Hold on, let me show you my big body armor. Hold on. Where's my body armor, man? Where's my vest at? There you go. Yeah, flip it around quick. Flip around the there you go. I wear this almost every time. Wow. Baby, how often do you think I wear my vest?
Full gear every day.
My full gear, like full tactical gear. Yeah, I wear that about every day. I spend about maybe 80% of the day in that. Yeah, because of the cops. That's the only reason why I do it.
I don't blame
you. Because I've gotten so many threats from cops. I have cops walk to my face and says, if we ever get a chance to take you out, we will. Now, I say take you out. That's not what they said, but I'm trying to be careful because of live stream.
Right.
That's how serious it gets with me. And the only thing that I've done so far is make videos.
Wow. So then my other question is, have you ever had a conversation just to understand maybe their different viewpoints so you guys can have like quote unquote a come to Jesus meeting?
If I have to wear body armor just to have a conversation with you, I don't want to talk to you. So maybe tell them to calm down first so that we can talk first.
Yeah.
That's not on me. You have to at some point. It gets to the point where you can't keep putting that on me. At some point, it's on cops. All of them. Every last one. If I can't trust your sheriff of the year,
Right.
You can't trust any of them. Sorry. You can't make an argument good enough. If he gets away with it, then who else has? Because you didn't even know about him, right? So who else don't you know about?
There you go. I agree.
So now
And
that you see the
as I
other
share
side
with
of
you,
it,
and as I
listen,
share with you, it's stuff going on in my own state, where men have been killed
yeah.
constantly
So,
by police officers, the state troopers and sheriff and police.
oh, I know about Louisiana. Lower Ninth Ward King,
Mm-hmm.
he's in the chat. He's actually a Black Panther in your state. I'm real good friends with him, and he's actually about to give me some info on new Black Panthers. I'm gonna actually get my own thing started here. I want to get my own vanguard, my own thing, so I can choose who I let in because we got a Panther party here, and I ain't gonna say nothing negative about them. I wish them well, but I'm 100% FBA, 100% pro-Black. I'm not saying white people can't join, but you join as an auxiliary. If you call yourself Black Panthers, you are going to be black. Okay,
I agree.
right? No, I don't feel like I was trying to attack you, sister. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that.
Absolutely.
But I just want you to know the reason why some people out there. I'm actually questioning if I'm like this, who else is out there is like this? How many other people out there has these kind of feelings about cops? And when you ask them, they simply aren't as open about it as I am. It takes a lot of strength to come out and say things. I understand that. That's why I have empathy for those who can't.
Right.
What are things people are walking around with, things that they've experienced with cops, and they can't say anything because they're cops? They can be silenced.
Yeah. I
Think
get
about
it. I get it. I
think about
do.
how many Black women we don't know about. What do you think when the cops started off as slave catchers, right?
Right.
What do you think they did to some of those Black women when they caught them?
You already know they did. You already know they did.
Let me ask you a question.
First
Do
they
you
raped
think
them. They
all
did
the white
everything.
people who are saying, I have Black in my ancestry? Do you realize one of the reasons why they have Black in their ancestry is because
Of
of what
course.
their
Of
their
course.
slave master ancestors and their slave catcher ancestors actually did to our people?
And you
And
know
these,
what? They just didn't do it to the women. They also did it to the men. They buck break them. Of course. I mean,
yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I do.
Oh, if you know that term, you should know about Tariq Nasheed. He's the one that
Of
came up
course.
with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Tariq. I rock hard with that brother, man. Listen, I don't agree with everything that brother says, but his overall message, I rock with, man. Absolutely, he's pro-black. I count him as one of our leaders, man. Well, I don't want to call him a leader because he has a thing where he doesn't want people to call him a leader, and I'm kind of like that too because I don't like the whole idea of people being leaders. I like people to. I wish, yeah, because I don't want to become like freaking MLK. I would rather, everybody become just like me, become as educated, become as armed, become as trained, and don't rely on the government whatsoever because the government doesn't care about you.
Well, if you like Tariq Nasheed, what do you think about Umar? I like Dr. Umar too.
Umar, I listen to him sometimes. I disagree with some of his stances, especially obviously with interracial stuff because my girlfriend's white. So, but I agree with a lot of things that he says too. See, the thing is, people people listen to different people and they want to try to compare like I'm not saying that you're doing that, but some people do. And the thing about it is that if you are overall pro-black, I will check you out. I'll rock with you. I'll give you a chance because we have no requirements for white people to be perfect.
Right.
So,
Right.
even though you may have certain feelings towards cops, overall, if you are pro-black, if you're pushing like reparations or anything else, I'm still gonna rock with you too. I just understand that when it comes to cops, you're gonna have a certain feeling, you know,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
So let me
No
ask you
one's
this
gonna be
question.
perfect.
How
Right.
often are you on here on your lives, and like how often do you have people that's in different professions, that can talk, maybe educators? I know people that teach school and they want cops there at the school because they have anxiety now. School's getting ready to start back and there's like, I think I'm going to leave the school system. So like how often are you on here? Because I would like them to sit
Um,
up and
I
have
tell you
discussions with
what.
you about that.
Now that you said that, I need to make a regular stream. don't I? I don't have a it's so irregular. It's so infrequent. So what I'll do, just because you asked that, pick a day and I'll make it
Okay.
my regular day. How about Saturdays?
Sounds good to me.
Saturdays, yeah, Saturdays. I think I'll do that. I think I'll do a general education about police, about government, about laws. And I'm not gonna get into the whole hotel stuff. I'm not gonna get into all that stuff. What I'm gonna get into is just things to avoid pitfalls and just general stats and stuff. You know, because again, I want people to be educated not just about police, but also about their government, and also, you know, again, I'm very upset with the Biden administration, but I want people to be involved in their local government, know what your
Right.
local government's doing, you know, and also to just generally get people just clear up some misconceptions. You know, things that anything that I put out here, you can Google easily. That's why I actually put it on screen to show you that this stuff can be found. You know,
So let me ask you this, and let me just spin it all around one more time. So
Sure.
if we're gonna privatize this police department, right? So if we're privatizing this police, so the police department originally was kind of found, they was looking for slaves and all this.
Right.
So the taxpayers would still be responsible. So again, what would like the educational, what I'm saying? Like, who would pick the credentials, or would it be a union, or, like, what would be what's the perks? Like,
Well,
if it's a
here's
pro.
the here's the thing. So when you look at things like one of the biggest things that I'm trying to remove from police are their legal protections. And my girlfriend, she makes 10K a month, you know, doing her legal. She's a court reporter. She's an independent court reporter. So she transcribes all these cases. So she knows the law very well because she takes it down verbatim. She kind of has to. So
Okay.
um and so this is why I always ask her like legal advice because she usually has like the right answer. But but again, she's not a lawyer, so you know, I'm not going to claim that she is. But the one thing that she pointed out, and one thing that every lawyer that I've ever talked to, and one thing that I know from all the things I've seen in like courtrooms is that in legal arguments, it's not about a slam dunk. It's about legal arguments are not all or nothing, right? It's more like
Okay.
it's more like building a house, right? And you got to pull out certain parts just to make and maybe pulling out one part doesn't make the whole thing crumble, but pulling out the right parts does, right? So it's not the unions that I necessarily have an issue with. It's not unions. It's
Okay.
the power that unions have. See, unions as a concept itself is it's not the problem. So
Okay.
if they have a private security guard union where we have private security, right? And they don't
Hmm.
have the legal protections that police do, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And here's the thing, right? So you're in Louisiana and you're in the southern region,
Right.
so you should know about AT&T and T and some of the unions there. So they have a
Right.
union there, and basically there's no condition in which someone could show up to work and fire 90 shots at somebody and keep their job.
Right.
So unions don't protect you in of themselves. It's the laws behind the unions that also give them the actual protections, and also it's the amount of influence that union has, and also
Okay.
if you remove the very concept of policing in its current form and switch it over
Okay.
to a private security force that is state by state by state, well, what that does is, right, that also breaks away some of the white supremacist beliefs behind it. Because it is no accident that it is majority people who are Republican and white people who support police. Because
Okay.
because again, the same way that if they kept saying that the freaking Confederate flag was a part of their actual heritage, right? Um, the
Okay.
same way that they're kind of looking at police officers. And we've been falling for that
Okay.
propaganda while not realizing what, when you talk to these people, right, and you ask them, why do you support police? Notice how your answers as to the reason why you support police is a lot different than the average Republican.
Okay.
The average Republican will mention Chicago. They'll mention, and again, Chicago is a freaking stand-in for black people. When they say
Okay.
when they say Chicago, they really mean you black people. Okay. They don't they you
Hmm.
don't they didn't they didn't mention West Virginia, even though there's a whole lot of gun crime there too, right? They said Chicago.
Okay.
So
Okay.
again, people will use certain things that are stand-ins for us. You gotta be mindful
Right.
of that. And also people support things that they interpret that is supposed to be against us, right? Like I'll give you a prime example. And this is a whole psychological trick, right? So
Okay.
let me give you another example, and it's completely unrelated. Do you think affirmative action actually
Okay.
benefits us?
It did not help us at all. No.
No.
It didn't even help the black woman. It helped white women.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
So why do you think every white supremacist brings it up?
I think they bring it up because it was beneficial to them, uh, but they couldn't really say anything per se. You know what I mean? Like I don't know exactly how to put it into words, but it did not benefit, quote unquote, the black person or the
Right,
black man. You know, some
right,
people probably slid through because of it, but it did not benefit. It benefited the white woman,
right,
which
right.
is
But
ultimately the
that's
white
the whole
man's
thing.
property.
Well, the thing is that it served two purposes. Number one, to advance more white people, and then number two,
Okay.
to blame us for it. See,
But how could you
it does
blame
two
us
things
for
all at
something?
once.
But how could you
Yeah.
blame the black man, the black race for something that we didn't benefit from? Make it make sense.
Can you show me all the articles and all the political candidates who are currently saying, "Hey, it's the white woman's fault that we are having this problem with affirmative action"? You can't show me one.
Right.
So they're
Right.
not the ones getting blamed for it. We're getting blamed for it.
Right. Right.
Fair or unfair, that's what's happening.
And
Just
okay,
like, for
so that
example,
brought
whenever someone asks why are police budgets so large, they don't say, "Well, it's the misconduct elements. It's not because of black people," but they immediately point to Chicago, which is is a stand-in for black people.
right. Huh.
So,
Okay. I get it. So here's the other part of my question. So with that being said, we're gonna
right,
privatize this police department. We're gonna privatize it. So I live in Louisiana, and so Mississippi is of course like maybe an hour away from me,
right,
and it is like 85-90% white. I'm sorry, 85 to 90% black. That entire state. You know, in the Bible Belt, the South is the Bible Belt, right? And so they're
right.
very conservative, even black folk. You know, so some people still here have that Willie Lynch syndrome. Meaning white is right. Uh,
Right.
it got to be right. It got to be true because the white man said it. The white person said it. So how would you convey? What would be the implementation? Like, you know, I guess I'm saying like, how would you do it here? Because it would have to start
Uh,
from implement it from children young. You see, because even then, even now, we are still on a colorism thing. The lighter you are,
right.
which means Creole,
Well,
right?
the
You're Creole.
colorism stuff,
So the lighter you are, the prettier you are.
that's not really something that's promoted by FBA. The colorism stuff, that's really promoted by people. Okay, so here's the thing. Do you understand why it would be insulting to call why it would be insulting to go to Japan and call somebody Chinese, right?
Yes,
You understand why it would be insulting to go to Spain and call somebody Mexican, right?
of course. Uh-huh.
So why do people, when they assume there's colorism in this country, why do they assume that it's all foundational Black Americans? Why do they not assume that sometimes it's Haitians, sometimes it's Jamaicans, sometimes people from the African continent who come over here and bring colorism? Because we never had a war about colorism in this country, about colorism with among Black folks. You had one in Rwanda though. So they bring that over here. That's not something that's really a part of our culture because a lot of rappers, especially like a lot of rappers, a lot of black leaders from Muhammad Ali to Barack Obama to Colin Kaepernick, people that we all like and we revere are light skinned. So it's not the colorism that you find here. It's that the colorism is actually being imported here. That falls into another problem that we have in the black community is that the reason why we made foundational Black Americans is because we are tired of taking the worst of everyone's culture, right? And
Mm.
then that being pinned on us, and then they also get to claim the best sides of their culture. Like when someone asks, like You get somebody who will come here from a different part of the African diaspora, right? And whenever they accomplish anything, right, they're like, oh no, I am Ghanaian, I am Jamaican. They never just say, oh no, I'm Black American. No, they give credit to their homeland. But then whenever they commit a crime, oh, those black people. See, that's we have to Americans back slavery.
Okay. You kind of froze up on me. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear. Uh, can you trace your lineage?
I can't. No. I mean, I know what they say, of course, you know, according to DNA, 23 in me or DNA, whatever. I know what they say, but I mean, I'm one of those people I think outside the box. So, you know, do I believe all of that? I don't.
Right. It's not about DNA. It's about lineage. Like for example, this is why we do lineage because DNA doesn't really prove anything. Because if you take somebody's like DNA, right, their DNA is going to go back to three places: North America, probably South America, Africa, and Europe, or maybe some parts of like Asia. It's all going to go back to the same thing. This is why you go for lineage because you can have somebody who lives in Russia, but they have completely different lineages. So. The thing is though, so when the reason why I say this is mainly because we take in a lot of people's junk,
Yeah.
right, in the black community, and then that is extrapolated into a problem with the whole black community. Like we are told that black men have a problem with black women. That's not true. Most black men who are direct descendants of slaves, who are actually FBA, don't have an issue with black women. It's when you start bringing people from different parts of the African diaspora, from people whose countries who maybe they don't have the same laws as we have here. That's when it changes, right? And that's where it gets into a problem. So some of the colorism that that we are seeing is a result of colonization because we are probably the only black people on planet Earth that have not been mentally colonized. We may have been physically colonized, but not mentally. This is why we are only 13% of the population, and yet we can put up so much of a fight. And yet, when you go into African countries where they are the majority, and white people are maybe like 30% of the country, they are colonized to this very day.
So
that would never happen to us.
So let me tell you why I brought up colorism, right? I brought up colorism because
Right.
with the police, I'm going to always loop it back around because here, of course, you know, you have your Cajuns, you have your Creoles, and then you just have, as they call them here, like the Sambos, right? And so even here, they would consider me to be a dark-skinned woman, right? And I'm dark-skinned.
Right.
So when I married, you know, it was like, okay, listen, and I'm the darkest woman in my family. You understand? There's nobody darker than me, which means, of course, I was treated a certain type of way. I did not want dark children, you know? So I made sure I married a Cajun man to ensure that my children will not become dark-skinned. So I'm bringing it back around to policing. So with that being said, it goes back to that whiteness, right? So with that, again, so you want to implement certain things. I want my police officers to look like me. I brought this back up because it's amazing in neighborhoods like Highland Park. I looked at the news. I didn't see not one black police officer. I did see one black FBI agent, but there are no black police officers. Maybe they wasn't working that day. Maybe the day they took their pictures, they wasn't. He missed picture day. You know, when you go pull up their pictures, maybe he missed picture day. But there is one black FBI agent for Highland Park. But there was none running around. You know. However, in Chicago, as they call it, Chirac, you got a lot of white boys out there. In New Orleans, you got a lot of white boys out here policing these streets. Don't get me wrong, you got some black ones too, but you got some white ones. That's not their neighborhood, and they treat us differently because this ain't their neighborhood. But guess what? You go to stuff like Manderville, you don't have none of us there. We don't exist. Are you understanding my drift? What I'm trying to say now?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like when it comes to policing our neighborhoods, it's very different. I'm not saying black people don't kill, the black police don't kill other black men. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it makes a difference when you have police that look like us in our neighborhoods, opposed to having police that look like them in our neighborhoods. Are you understand what I'm saying?
I guess like that is a part of the problem. But it goes back into what I said. Um, Roots. If you watch the show by this is not a show, but it's like a doc. It's like a well, kind of like a fantasy series, really, because it wasn't based on like actual fact. Many of the people actually existed, but the many of the events it didn't unfold the way that he said it. But in that series, you did see black overseers, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And many of the light skinned black people were kept inside. So you understand there were always people, right,
Mhm.
who were buffers for white supremacy.
Mhm.
We always understand that, and that goes back into what I was talking about earlier. But I'm not going to get back into that. The thing is, though, is that having a black police chief or having a black sheriff or having anything else
Mhm.
that don't change things.
Right.
Because
Mhm.
here's why. Because if that changed anything, right? Well, we had a black president. Did he get rid of qualified immunity?
It
Nope.
didn't change nothing. You understand? Nothing.
No.
It did not benefit us at
So
all. Hmm.
that's also the one of the other things that FBA has been focusing on. It's not just getting black people in there; it's the right black people. Okay?
Hmm.
We don't want another Clarence Thomas. We don't
Right.
need another Kamala Harris. Okay,
And
we've had
so, and
about
so,
it.
let me ask you this. But with that being said, just because they are black, should we put that kind of pressure on them to quote unquote save us? Because
Yeah.
we put them in position to do a job, not for black people, but for all people. You understand?
No,
So
because here's why.
Are we
Here's
selfish
why.
to say, hey, guess what? You black, you need to hook me up, sis. You black and I'm black.
Here's why. Here's why. Can you show me? Can you show me another group that doesn't do that?
I mean, we have not had any other than black people. We have not had any Asians. We have not had any Hispanics. We had white
Let
people.
me
We
ask
had.
you a question. If a police officer ever does anything to one of those groups, the chances of them being prosecuted is much higher than us, right?
Except with the Latinos. With the Latinos, they just like
No,
us.
it's much
Wait,
higher.
in Texas,
It's
let me
too
know.
much higher.
In Texas,
Hmm?
in Texas,
It
they don't.
if you look at the leading cause of death for Latino men and black men, it's pretty clear. The numbers don't lie. It's in a vast majority of those cases, those black men were unarmed. In fact,
Hmm.
in more than 80% of those cases, they were unarmed.
Hmm.
Now, with that being said, this falls into another problem. Whenever we have discussions about police brutality or getting something for black people or reparations or anything else, usually what ends up happening is we in the black community we have a habit, and it's not a bad thing per se, but it's something that we have to curb for the next couple of years. We
Hmm.
like to all lives matter everything. Every time
Hmm.
we discuss something
Ain't
something
that sad?
that's supposed to
Hmm.
be for us, we always say, well, what about this group? Oh, well, it's supposed to be for everybody. We haven't gotten reparations yet. We haven't.
Absolutely.
Affirmative action doesn't even benefit us. The cops are shooting 90 shots at us when we are unarmed.
Yeah.
If we are getting an unfair advantage, they can deal with it.
Hmm. So, with that being said, right? Because they just did the thing with Juneteenth.
Mhm.
Well, now everybody want to start. Now it's like this pride thing, and I'm not saying it didn't start. I don't have anything against no one. Okay, let me just say that. Let me
Right,
put that
right.
disclaimer out there. I don't
I
have
know where
anything
you're
against
going.
anyone.
I know where you're
But
going.
so this Juneteenth, right? And so
Yeah.
okay, so now it's Pride all of a sudden, and you know in February it becomes, instead of Black History, now it can never be just representation for us as a people, as a culture.
And
But
that's
to
what
that I say, to the
I'm going
masses,
to
I
agree
don't
with you.
blame them. I blame us because we allow it. See, we allow
You are
it.
right leaning, right? You're right leaning. Well, I'm on the left, and I'm going to agree with you on that. This is why I put out a video earlier, and some people didn't care for it. I said to my black LGBT folks, I love you. This is why I put out that video about Brittany Griner. This is why I put out the video supporting black LGBT folks. But you need to understand you are black first. And what happened
Hmm.
with Juneteenth, the way it was hijacked, it was inappropriate. It was disrespectful.
Hmm.
And the fact that you didn't have more black LGBT folks speak out about it, that ain't it, y'all.
Hmm. Hmm.
That ain't it. Like that's what happened to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter it started out with let's talk about police brutality, let's talk about racism, right? And then it morphed into something else.
Absolutely.
That ain't it, y'all.
Yep.
That ain't it, y'all. See,
Yep.
I think you really have to start looking up FBA, Foundational Black Americans. You would be surprised at how many leftists would sound just like you. Except for when it comes to cops. That's about the only thing that you wouldn't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, you sound just like us.
And
And to the audience watching, I want you to understand this is how you bridge gaps. This woman
absolutely.
is right leaning. I'm left leaning. But we mutually agree on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to better the black community.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it, folks. You don't have to come in screaming and shouting and insulting each other and trying to be right. Just have a nice civil conversation. That's it. And I bet you
So
are a beautiful black sister. I bet you are. I know
thank you.
you
I
are.
am.
Because black don't crack.
Absolutely. So let me
And
ask
the
you
only,
this before I go.
yeah, go ahead.
On Saturdays, what time? Or because I'm on Central
I tell
Time.
you what, I'm gonna follow you,
All right.
and I'm gonna follow you, and you give me a time. I could show up anytime you need me to, because guess what? This is my full-time job. So I went to I was actually a combat veteran. I'm rated at 100%. So that's how I get paid. I don't have to work. I choose to
Okay.
work. So pick a time.
Okay. I'm already following you, and I'm gonna go back and watch a lot of your videos and stuff, and I'm gonna, I'll be in your inbox. So I'm gonna send you some messages, some things like that.
Cool, cool. All right. That's gonna be great. And I'm actually gonna be signing off here soon. Because
All
I
right.
want
Thank
this
you
a good
so much.
conversation. Because I think me and you covered a lot of things. Like we actually got through a lot of stats, a lot of statistics and stuff. And I'm so glad that we did this because it's very
Absolutely.
educational and educating our people is gonna be very, very important because right now we're making a push. Like you might have been noticing all the conversations about reparations, right? It's been a
Right.
lot.
Yeah.
It's serious. It's gonna happen in our freaking lifetime. Well, FBA is the reason why it's been happening. We've been pushing it. A lot of the conversations about cops. I by myself has got more than the cops, more than 100 cops fired, more than 4 departments shut down, and I caused 2 riots. So by myself, I'm like a force. But we have an entire FBA movement of people who are much better at what they do than what I do. So I would suggest you follow Jason Black, the Black Authority. You follow uh, Great Black Shark. You got Afro Elite, Tariq Nasheed. Uh, you got Wani. You got so many. You got 3 minutes of Black Empowerment. So this guy is funny as heck, man. He does this little puppet, and he does this like actual educational types of videos. But if you're more right leaning, you would love this guy because
Okay.
he's basically the right leaning version of me. He don't like cops, but
Okay.
the way you think and the way he thinks is very similar. I'm gonna tell
All
you,
right.
you'll love that guy.
Okay.
But you
All
got
right.
so many other people to follow, though. Thank you so much, sister. It's been nice talking to you, and
Absolutely.
thank you so much for working
Likewise.
in your field. Um, that's a very, very tough field. Social
Thank you,
work
and
is,
I will
is
see.
sucks.
And I
Yeah.
will see you next Saturday, and I'm gonna be sending you some things in your inbox during the week.
Roger that. Be safe, sis.
All right. You too.
All right. All right, guys. So that's gonna be it for me today. I appreciate everybody who showed up. And we had a nice conversation, man. It was great. All right, guys. So until next time, guys, make sure you follow me, guys. Follow me, send me a like. Make sure you follow me. I might follow you back. We can message, we can go back and forth. Make sure you follow me. Also, I'm on YouTube, acabdevil. I do gaming there. I'm gonna be gaming a little bit later. I'm gonna be playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I'm also gonna be playing SCP Pandemic, and I'm also gonna be playing a few other things. So until next time, guys, horns up, peace out, good night, and good luck.